Let's talk about center field. Kyle Schwarber? Sam Hilliard? What are we thinking?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the second day of February 2022, 2/2/22. There you go. That's a pretty good looking line. That's a good stat line. That's a good line. February, off to a hot start. Not really in terms of contract negotiations. Those things appear to still be a long while off. And Jeff Passan says don't count on spring training starting on time. So there's that to think about. And anyway, that's part of the baseball news, but we got lots to talk about today. But today, the main focus of the show is going to be on center field and what the Rockies are going to do. A little bit of center field and just outfield talk in general. And one of the free agents I don't think we've talked about a ton on the show is Kyle Schwarber. So we're going to talk about Kyle Schwarber today and my thoughts again still on what I think about the Rockies outfield on February 2nd, because I think this is going to change a lot. My mindset, my ideas about what's going to happen with this Rockies outfield is probably going to change, and especially going to change depending on any moves that they end up making. And one of those possible moves that has had some at least some rumors, some things like that, is the Kyle Schwarber to the Rockies, or if the Rockies should go after Kyle Schwarber. But before we dive into that, I want to thank you for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day. You can find us streaming on your favorite streaming service free. And all you got to do, search Locked On Rockies. You can follow us too, so you can make sure you know when we're going live on YouTube. Subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at LO Rockies. You can follow me at Paul Holden 33. And like I said, subscribe so you can see when the YouTube videos are streaming live like we are right now. And yeah, so that's the focus today is going to be on the outfield. I promise I'm going to stay off the soapbox as much as possible here, and we'll look at some numbers. So let's start. Kyle Schwarber, and we will go to Purple Row here. Does Kyle Schwarber make sense for Colorado by Skylar Timmons over here? This was from January 16th, so last month. The Rockies need offensive upgrades for the 2022 season after having one of their less notable seasons in 2021. The team struggled with getting on base, driving in runs, and utilizing the long ball, all of which was magnified while away from Coors Field. They need help, especially in the outfield, and one option available to Bill Schmidt is Kyle Schwarber. However, the question remains, does he make sense for Colorado? In short, yes. Yes, he does. Again, Skylar Timmons, does Kyle Schwarber make sense for Colorado on Purple Row? In a season split between the Nationals and the Red Sox, Schwarber had one of the best seasons of his career. In 113 games in 2021, Schwarber had a career high 266 average and 148 OPS plus, in addition to 32 home runs. He also posted a career high 3.2 BWR with the Nationals and Red Sox, and he may have been able to accumulate more stats if he hadn't been injured for a time. What made Schwarber so effective in 2021 was the fact that he increased his overplate discipline. During the last season, he posted a career-low 23.3% swing rate at pitches outside the strike zone while posting a career-high 67.6% swing rate at pitches inside the strike zone. Schwarber has always been good at making contact, but his plate vision in 2021 has shown evidence of being a more selective hitter. He managed to lower his strikeout rate in 2021 while increasing his walk rate for a nice 0.5 walk-to-strikeout ratio. The selectivity has allowed Schwarber to swing at better pitches and hit the ball harder more often. In 2021 alone, Schwarber was registering a hard hit ball 52.2% of the time with an average exit velocity of 92.3 miles per hour. His bat-to-bat skills were best showcased by the 48 barrels he recorded while averaging a launch angle of 15.4 degrees. Skylar going in on the stats here. The thing, and I don't want to. You can go and read the rest of the article here too. I don't. There's more stuff we'll point on, but yes, both Fangraphs and Baseball Reference have Schwarber regressing this season. Baseball Reference has the projections for Schwarber this year at a batting average of 241, OBP of 341, slugging of 492, and an OPS of 833. 28 home runs, 68 RBIs, 20 doubles there. And let's go back here to the Purple Row article. Fangraphs projection shows Schwarber regressing slightly in 2022, but he's still bound to provide roughly the same product in the information above. But how would it play at Coors Field? It's tougher to assume exactly how he would do during a full season, but we do have a small sample size in Schwarber's career at Coors Field. In 8 games in Colorado, the slugger slash 267, 344 was 267, 343, 600 with 8 hits, including 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. The best we could hope for in 22 was something reminiscent of CJ Cron's production at Coors Field last season. In 69 games at home, Cron slashed 326, 412, 661 with 19 home runs and 68 RBI while drawing 28 walks and striking out just 50 times. If Schwarber carried over his 2021 performance, it would provide a nice offensive punch at Coors Field. And it would. It really would. And, what I liked about Schwarber was the fact that he was starting games off with a bang. He was really setting the tone early for the Red Sox with his at-bats early in games where he was getting nice, not just hits, but hits that felt good. And I think that type of stuff does mean something. When you're on deck and when you're watching the pitcher, I think if your team is able to get a good read on the pitch, and if a guy that's leading off your lineup, if a guy's starting off a game for you, is getting on the way Kyle Schwarber does and is increasing that plate discipline, making the pitcher work a little bit, decreasing his whiff and swinging at pitches outside of the zone. All of that does have a positive effect, I think, on the mental side for your teammates when they're watching and analyzing and trying to get in the game and get a read on pitchers as well. Obviously, this is a terrible comparison, but I feel like if you have experience in baseball, a good day at the yard is when your whole team seems to have an eye on the pitcher, and that starts with the top of your lineup. If the top of your lineup is getting on and hitting the ball well, I think that kind of builds some energy and some momentum for pitchers and for hitters throughout the rest of the lineup, and Kyle Schwarber can definitely bring that. But it's that regression. It's that, and I think it's smart, and I think and especially when players are coming off a career year, I think you should expect CJ Cron to maybe take a step back a little bit this year. We'll see. It definitely is possible. Who knows? He could take a step forward. But I'm just saying, especially changing environments and doing as much shifting, it wouldn't surprise me to see Kyle Schwarber, have some struggles. But that projected line from Baseball Reference does have me worried a little bit. Just for comparison's sake here, Chris Bryant isn't projected much better, but let's look at a batting average of 258, OBP of 348, slugging 460, OPS of 808. So, they're in reality, there's signs there that say Kyle Schwarber is projected to be better at hitting than Chris Bryant. So there's something to mind you, but Chris Bryant is projected to strike out 5 times less and walk a little bit less, however, but he's also and less RBIs. So when you look at those projected stats, you that kind of quelms my fear a little bit. But I'm really looking for the Rockies to get someone in that offense that's gonna, if like the power bat, I'm looking for a 270 plus. If like we read in that Purple Row article, if we get CJ Cron 2021 production out of Kyle Schwarber, that's fine. I think that's good. And for the right deal, that will add a nice punch. If you have 2 CJ Cron levels of production in your lineup, that's not bad. You're not against that. But again, it's the lineup is lacking that thump, that punch that it had in the past few years. The Rockies need to replace the offensive output of Arenado and Story. Simply put, I mean, they had issues on offense when those two were on the field. Don't get me wrong, but not necessarily because of them. It was because the other players are not there, and we're hoping for more from Charlie Blackmon. But again, like we've talked about a lot this year, how much do we really want to rely on Charlie Blackmon? That's why this outfield position is so important, and really why Kyle Schwarber is interesting. Let's take a look at some of the defensive stats from last year for Kyle Schwarber and what that like. So I want to link back to our conversation. If you didn't hear it last week, I want to talk a little bit more about what we talked about last week with some things that really should work well when you look at the numbers of Coors Field. But before we do that, got to tell you about our friends at Built Bar. Stick to your New Year's resolutions, ditch the candy bars, and replace them with Built Bar. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar. Built Bar has made it easier to stick to your resolution because why? Because they taste so good, folks. You'll want to eat the bars. I mean, they are a delicious, tasty treat, unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky, waxy, or taste like a chemical spill. You want to eat healthy, but it just gets so boring. By like week 3, you might be thinking, this is just not worth it. Where is the chocolate? Most Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate, and most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Here's an idea for the new year. Go to all your secret treat stashes at home, in the pantry, at the office, in the car, wherever, and throw out all those sugary, calorie-filled treats and replace them with Built Bar. That way, when you're craving a snack or treat, you can reach for something that's healthy and tastes incredible. There's a huge variety of flavors available at Built.com, and when you head to Built.com, you can use the promo code LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. That is 15% off your order at Built.com when you use the promo code LOCKED15. All right. So we are talking Kyle Schwarber today. And boy, that was a great season for him. I mean, if it isn't a decline and Schwarber is able to be as good as he was last year in a Rockies uniform, boy, howdy, would you be excited by that? 3.2 wins above replacement, Baseball Reference, by the way, with 106 hits, 32 home runs, 266 batting average, 76 runs, 71 RBIs, 3.7 OBP, 554 slugging, OPS of 928, and an OPS plus of 148. Schwarber's been a darn good player over his career when you look at it in terms of just his overall big stats. Not the huge batting average, but boy, 9 career wins above replacement. Schwarber is indeed a good player. And I don't necessarily know if the Rockies definitely have to be interested. I don't think Castellanos is going to leave Cincinnati. I think that ship has sailed, and I think the Reds might be the only team interested in the longest. I think he can get the longest term deal from the Reds. So I don't think Castellanos is going to come to the Rockies at this point. However, I think Schwarber and Bryant are still going to be in there. I think the Rockies have to be in a position where they're going to go after one of these people because they know, or at least I hope they know, the status of this team in terms of offensive production and how desperate it needs something. I know they don't like to go from the outside, but they got to bring someone in and go for a free agent here. But let's talk a little bit about the defense here. Last year, fielding percentage with, he didn't play a ton. He had 72 games in with the Nationals. Yeah, that's not true. 977 fielding average, 6 errors in that time there. And so not exactly what you're looking for, but I mean that's not horrible. 6 errors throughout the season. Playing a little outfield there for, it's so hard when they play in 2 teams to read stats. Ooh, Leon hit me there. Anyway, let's see. Okay, for his left field numbers, he was in there for 724 innings. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Is that outfield? No, okay, they're basically they're the same stat. I was like, did he play the same amount of stuff in center field and left field? So Kyle Schwarber isn't, I don't think going to give you a gold glove defense in left, but he is going to give you an option. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Rockies wanted to maybe at least see what he could do in center field. However, I think the plan for center field, unless you're going to go and make a big move for a big time center fielder, because if you missed our conversation last week, center field is an incredibly important position at Coors Field. If the way you have to be an elite defender that that can hit for contact, that can just be, the Rockies need best player, honestly, should be their center fielder. At least one of their best players should be their center fielder. And I'd like to see Sam Hilliard get more time out there. I'd like to see Sam Hilliard get the opportunity to play consistent time and play out there because I like his speed. I like the fact that he's hitting home runs away from Coors Field. And, strikeouts, especially when you're first getting in the league, they're tough. And you have to have you have to get at bats and have an opportunity to get there. So I'd rather the Rockies put Kyle Schwarber if they get Kyle Schwarber. I would rather the Rockies put Kyle Schwarber in left field where he played 700 innings last year. Clearly is more comfortable and is an offensive upgrade over Raimel Tapia and Connor Joe at this point. But I think you would flip them to right field. And at least Connor Joe. I don't know. Again, the Tapia thing Raimel Tapia is a very interesting piece here. I would imagine the best thing the Rockies would do with Raimel Tapia is probably package him in a trade to get something to help with the arms at this situation and for the bullpen maybe. Because if you sign Kyle Schwarber and you play Sam Hilliard in center, and we're just assuming the DH is there and Charlie Blackmon is in right field because Charlie Blackmon will be in right field no matter what. If the DH is not there, he will be the right fielder for the Rockies. That is for sure going to happen. At that point, don't you want to play Connor Joe more than Raimel Tapia and right? I just think that's a better fit for Joe. However, Tapia can, I'm sure, play a fine right field. I mean, he's played left and center. Why wouldn't he be able to play right? But I think you're going to get more offense, maybe, Connor Joe, the biggest question mark, from a Schwarber, Hilliard, Joe, Charlie Blackmon, DH, don't forget about that, outfield than a Schwarber, Hilliard, Tapia, or a Schwarber, Tapia, Hampson. I want more action from Sam Hilliard. I think he is the player he's the Brendan Rodgers right now, where I think we need to let him get a good, consistent playing time to see what the Rockies have in the form of him. If he can become a nice power hitting outfielder that hits for speed and is able to run around and get there, I think that could be something, but he's got to cut out on the strikeouts. 87 strikeouts in 81 games last year. 87 strikeouts in 238 plate appearances. You got to be better than that. But he was good in the field, solid fielding. He didn't have any errors playing in the outfield last year. He's played in all three fields. Sam Hilliard needs that playing time, and I think Kyle Schwarber could be an interesting boost. Kyle Schwarber especially can bring in, if he can bring in what he's learned to help his career in terms of cutting out strikeouts and having better plate discipline, that would be major for a ton of Rockies. We've talked about that a lot on the show before, is how much I want the Rockies to have a much better approach to the plate, not just offensive performance, but approach to the plate and approach to the offense as well. I think drawing out at bats and trying to get pitchers to make them pitch to them is key, especially at home. And I think that'll really benefit from them. So, Kyle Schwarber is could be a really, really interesting piece for the Rockies. I think there's definitely reason to believe that he is the guy, but we'll see. I mean, it's just a matter of what direction the Rockies are hoping to take this team in terms of the outfield. Are they going to commit to the people they have and think that they're going to go and build them up? Do they think the offense that they know that they need in the outfield is there? Or are they actually going to go through what they say and go out and get that big bat? We'll just have to see. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the outfield situation. I think I just want to talk a little bit more about Sam Hilliard and why I'm looking for him to help the Rockies here. But first, before we do that, got to tell you about our friends at Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football is marching to the Super Bowl. Yes, folks, that is right. The Super Bowl is just around the corner, and make sure that you are getting in on all the action with betonline.net. There might be less football being played, but betonline.net has way more fun stuff to bet on this playoff season, from score totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land. BetOnline is the number one spot for all things NFL betting in 2022, and it's not just football. BetOnline.net's basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC odds coverage is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your number one online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts. Head on over to BetOnline today and make you some money. So I'm intrigued by Sam Hilliard just because I think at the end of the season, we saw enough from him to have a little belief. It's just a classic thing with the Rockies of how do you get these players that you think are going to be good enough playing time? And again, here's Brendan Rodgers, prime example. But let's hop over here to an article from November 12th. Thomas Harding. Is it Hilliard's time to take next step for Rocks? No matter how the Rockies improve their lineup through free agency and trades this winter, there will always be room and need for players like outfielder Sam Hilliard to become solid contributors. Hilliard, who turns 28 on February 22nd, largely struggled on the field while dealing with personal and family hardship in 2021 and finished with a 215, 294, 757 slash line with 87 strikeouts and 238 plate appearances. It's 36.6%. But after his July 16th return from a lengthy option to AAA Albuquerque, he slashed a more respectable 237, 322, 492 in his final 199 plate appearances. The surge also included, here's the big part, folks. The surge also included 12 of his 14 home runs. That's the key. If Sam Hilliard dealt with a lot last year. There was didn't he lose his dad, I think, last year, or a family member, and again, it's something that the mental part of baseball plays a huge role. Again, complete non sequitur. Let's go back to the article here. Hilliard has strength in his 6'5" frame, plus top-level speed and ability to play all three offensive positions. But over parts of 3 seasons, he hasn't built a productive enough track record to dissuade the Rockies from pursuing outfield bats to improve their 22 lineup. First-year general manager Bill Schmidt spent much of the week at the MLB general managers meetings in Carlsbad, California, laying the groundwork for acquisitions to make up for the shortcomings of the 2021 roster. But with his versatility, the distinct possibility the designated hitter in the National League will be included in the next collective bargaining agreement, and the Rockies' modus operandi of controlling the payroll with a draft and develop philosophy, there are routes for Hilliard to secure playing time should he convert his physical tools into run production. The finish to his 2021 season might have been Hilliard's breakthrough. I don't think I've had this much confidence in my swing at any point in my career, Hilliard said. In the season's final 4 weeks, he unveiled a change in his batting setup. A less hunched upper body, lower hand somewhat extended from his chest, front foot touching the chalk of the batter's box behind him, rather than roughly equidistant between the lines. He homered 5 times and drove in 14 runs in his final 19 games. That's the reason you want to get Sam Hilliard back in the lineup there. His confidence is growing. He's feeling better than he's ever felt. And now if you give him an opportunity to start a season, don't tell it, maybe not designate him the everyday starting center fielder or right fielder, left fielder, as we've seen that Sam Hilliard can do, but give him a chance. And you can't build off of a solid finish to a year without the opportunity to have more at-bats, especially in professional baseball. If the Rockies want to truly see what Sam Hilliard is, you do need to beef up your outfield with a free agent acquisition, but you need to keep a position there to see what you have, because the Rockies have far too many outfielders that they on their roster to not at least figure out what to do with one of them. Tapia, Hampson, and Hilliard. My vote, I think, is to give Sam Hilliard the shot that, like we said, that the 12 of 14 home runs in his final 199 plate appearances, and feeling more confident in his swing than he's ever felt before. Those are the signs you're looking for. That's a sign of progress. It might not be a huge jump. I'm not expecting Sam Hilliard to be batting 300 next year and cut his strikeouts by 50%. But if you cut your strikeouts by, 10%, 15%, if you decrease strikeouts, increase your run production and batting average and and all that stuff, that's a great step forward and shows that Hilliard provides tremendous value to your team, especially with the fact that he has the power to hit it over the wall, because he didn't do it at Coors Field at all. Basically, did he ever put one over the wall at last year? I can't remember, but all his home runs seem to be on the road. There's a sign that should transfer over and be a benefit for the Rockies. So if you're bringing Schwarber in, I think you keep Sam Hilliard there and you go with a Schwarber, Hilliard, Joe mix in right field. Right field, I think you can mix and match. That's where you kind of see with your Hampsons and at least see what you're going to do with the other side. If not, Charlie Blackmon's going to be holding it down over there in right field. Folks, that is going to do it for today's Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for tuning in today and for joining us for another great episode. If you want to catch the show, you can see it on YouTube. All you got to do is subscribe so you know when we go live, or follow us on Twitter at LO Rockies. But we are free and streaming on your favorite streaming service every day that we post a podcast. All you got to do is search Locked On Rockies. I'm Paul Holden. You can find me at Paul Holden33 on Twitter as well. And if you ever have a question, if you ever want me to talk about something on the pod, reach out to us. Let us know. I'd love to hear what you all want to talk about. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Go win yourself some money with Locked On Bets and make them your second listen of the day. We thank you for making us your first listen of the day, and stay up to date with all things Colorado sports with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, and Nuggets, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden. Signing